Dear students, now we have completed all the lessons and revision of some topics in the third semester. Now it is high time to start the fourth semester syllabus. So I will introduce a paper that you have to study in fourth semester, that is criticism. This is not a new word to you, but you don't know much about criticism. You might have learnt about writer, poet, dramatist, essayist, but many of them have just heard critic, but they don't know what criticism is. Criticism is an integral part of literature, because if there is no critic, real appreciation or evaluation of a work cannot be carried out. What is the duty of a critic? Critic is a person who reads a work and mentions its merit and demerits. Many of the people will first read the criticism and then go to the book, because if it is not a good book, critic might have told it is bad, then they need not spoil their time by reading that bad work. If critics points out that the book has certain merits, then readers will go and purchase the book and read it home. So the place of critic and the place of criticism in literature is very important. I will soon send you the syllabus of criticism. It is not an interesting subject for some students who are lazy. If they don't want to study, this paper, criticism, will not be interesting. But if you are a true student of literature, there is no way. You have to read and enjoy. Because if you read a specific work, you will read and forget. Maybe you will not remember any point or any character in that story. But if you study criticism, that will help you understand the different aspects of a literary work, whether it is poem or a drama. We have to start from the very beginning, because from the very beginning of English literature, the criticism also comes into the being. Some types of criticism was there. When we go back to history, we have to go to the Greek literature. It was a developed one, it was a standard one, and there were many scholars. Like you might have heard about Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. All these people are the subjects of our study now. In the first module, the first topic is about Plato. Second topic in the first module is Aristotle. Both of them speak about poetry. Plato is a teacher and a student of Socrates. Aristotle is the student of Plato. So Plato and Aristotle are our focus now. Plato criticizes poetry and his student Aristotle defends poetry. This is what we are going to study at the very beginning of this paper called criticism. The topic tells us that the title itself is that Plato's attack on poetry. Plato's attack on poetry. And after this, Aristotle comes to defend, to guard the poetry. He tried to justify poetry. He wanted to save poetry from the bitter criticism, severe criticism from his teacher Plato. This is only an introduction to our paper. Before we go further, we should at least have a general idea about the great personality called Plato. Who was he? So, as we have no textbook printed yet, we have to depend PDF or notes from internet. When we get the textbook, we will use it for our serious study. But we cannot sit idle now telling that we have no textbook. So I would like to read some paragraphs about Plato. Who was he? What was his life like? What were his achievements? What was his place? And how did he criticize poetry? What was the reason? And what type of world he lived in? Everything was our topics of our research. And you can see the note, who was Plato? You can have also a reading while I am doing. Ancient Greek philosopher Plato was a student of Socrates and a teacher of Aristotle. Two great personalities before him and after him. He is in between. Plato was an ancient Greek philosopher. And who was his teacher? Socrates. And his student, Aristotle. His writings explored justice. He wrote a lot. He wrote about everything. Just have a look at them. Justice, beauty, and equality, and also contained discussions and aesthetics. Political philosophy, theology, cosmology, epistemology, and the philosophy of language. Single person, but many topics. You know, you are trying very hard. You find it very difficult to learn one subject, English literature, English language and literature. See, this person, he mastered almost all branches of studies. He studied everything, he taught everything, he wrote about everything. He was an all-rounder, we can say. Plato founded the academy in Athens, one of the first institutions of higher learning in Western world. It was Plato who established an institution for higher learning, an academy in Athens. It was the first of its kind in the West. This is all about his profile. Now let's see a casual reading about his life. Perhaps you need not write in the examination, but when we read a textbook, we should know about the author. Where was he born? What was his education like? What were his interests? And what was the era in which the work was written? Everything is our topic of study. Now, let's see his early life. Due to a lack of primary sources from the time period, much of Plato's life has been constructed by scholars through his writings and the writings of contemporaries and classical historians. That means what we know about Plato is made out of his own writings and from the writings of his contemporaries. Contemporary means people who lived in that era. Traditional history estimates Plato's birth was around 428 BCE, but more modern scholars tracing later events in his life believe he was born between 424 and 423. That means even the time of his birth was a dispute. It was not clear when was he born. Both of his parents came back from the Greek aristocracy. That means his parents were born in rich family. Plato's father Ariston descended from the kings of Athens. He was a member of royal family. And Messenia. His mother Perictione is said to be related to the 16th century BCE Greek statesman Solon. The background of his mother was also great. Some scholars believe that Plato was named for his grandfather Aristocles. There was a tradition at that time to name a child with the name of his grandfather. Aristocles following the tradition of the naming the eldest son after the grandfather. But there is no conclusive evidence of this. Evidence is there is no clear proof even for this thing. That Plato was the eldest son in his family. It is not clear whether he was the eldest one or the last one or the middle one. Other historians claim that Plato was a nickname referring to his broad physical build. His body was very strong. So somebody might have given him a nickname, Plato. This too is possible, although there is record that the name Plato was given to boys before Aristocles was born. That means there is no clear evidence that he got his real name is Plato, because even before the birth of Aristocles, the name was given to many children.